The holographic alarm clock buzzed near Rada's ear. With his face pressed into the pillow, he groped for it. It was quite a challenge because the alarm clock was hanging above him. It was quite high up, so he had to lift himself up a little to touch it. With difficulty, he stretched out his arm, raised his body slightly, turned it off, and lay there as if dead. After a moment, the second alarm went off. Rad grimaced in dissatisfaction. Although he knew he wouldn't be able to turn it off so easily, he tried to make the same move. However, when he raised his hand, the alarm clock ran away. Rad kept looking for it, his eyes closed, waving his hand, trying to sense it. But it kept running away. This was not accidental behavior. He had set it that way. The alarm clock only calmed down when it registered that the boy was sitting up in bed. He grumbled reluctantly, gathered his strength, and sat up. Then he managed to turn it off. At the last moment, because Rosa, lying next to him, was about to nudge Rad. When she heard that the alarm had stopped, she lazily rolled over to the other side and muttered, "It's time. 10 minutes won't kill you." "What about you?" asked Rad, rubbing his eyes and yawning. "I'm not leaving for another hour. I'm working late today," she said, as if she were already on the other side, the side of fairy tales and dreams, the world of sleep. "Okay," replied Rad, unhappy that he would have to eat breakfast alone. He hugged his girlfriend and stroked her long brown hair, which curled over the pillow and her back like waves. The room was dark. The sun was just rising and seemed to be as lazy as they were today. Rad went to the bathroom and washed his face. In the mirror, he saw a 32-year-old man with shorter hair, but still long enough to show his brown curls. He had gray-brown eyes and a muscular body. This was not surprising, as he was a police officer and took care of his physical condition. A white shelf levitated above the sink, holding cosmetics, hair combs, toothbrushes, his green one and Rosa's pink one. There was also a gray pillow on the shelf with 2 pairs of contact lenses and headphones, the so-called set. Without it, no one, no citizen of Poland or the world left home. Only small children, really small ones, and the homeless didn't have it. But even they could sometimes find a working set in the trash that someone had thrown away when they bought a new, better one. Rad first put the transparent lenses in his eyes. If you looked closely, they weren't completely transparent. They had tiny black and silver particles in them, electronics. They were barely visible even when looking directly at the transparent lenses, disappearing almost completely on the pupil. Then he put on the headphones. 2 thin, soft strips stuck to the lower and side surfaces of the inner ear, almost like a plaster. Black in color, white with dew. He closed his eyes and gently pressed his palms against his eyelids. "Program activated" appeared in front of him. He had activated the set. From that moment on, until he turned it off, he would exist in 2 worlds. Partly in the real world, partly in the holographic internet reality. He could still see everything in front of him normally, but he could also see things in the holographic world. The hologram was usually set to semi-transparent mode, so that both it and what was happening in reality could be seen. The level of transparency could be changed and adjusted as needed. It was almost 7, so he logged into work. He turned on the police program and, tapping in the air, pressed the appropriate letters and numbers. He entered his password. A message appeared in red. Call. Dead man. Location. Planet Earth. Poland. Krakow. Jegorzetska Street. Something since morning, he sighed, though it was difficult to tell whether it was a groan of dissatisfaction, because the day promised to be intense, or one of satisfaction. He himself didn't know. He liked his job. and felt a thrill of excitement. But it was 7 o'clock. He clicked on the Check Who's on Site tab and saw 9 photos with moving figures. 7 police officers from the first group, responsible for collecting and labeling evidence, and 2 of his friends, investigative officers from the 8th group, to which he himself belonged. He didn't recognize one girl from the first group. She must be new. He clicked on her photo, and her description appeared, along with her date of entry into service, the cases she had recently handled, and information about her supervisor, Top. A photo of a middle-aged man with a beard hung below her photo. Top had 8 groups under him. Groups 1 and 2 consisted of 7 people each. They were responsible for marking and searching the area and securing evidence. Group 3, consisting of 4 people, was responsible for laboratory testing of evidence. Group 4, consisting of 5 people, were programmers, and Groups 6, 7, and 8, consisting of 3 people each, were responsible for investigations. The girl had indeed been there for a short time, and her description said that she had replaced Luna, who had gone on maternity leave. He didn't even know she was pregnant. He would have to write to her with congratulations. Rad scrolled through the girl's photo, checking to see if there was anyone new, but he knew the rest. He returned to the photos of his friends Len and Lot. Not only did they appear in the tab indicating that they were on site, but there was also a green dot next to them, so they had definitely arrived and were already working. Len was of average height, with short-cropped, almost bald dark hair. His eyes were blue-brown, as if someone had divided his pupils in half and made one side intensely blue, the color of a clear sky, and the other coffee-colored. He had 2 tattoos on the sides of his head, snakes whose heads began above his ears and whose mouths faced forward, just like the boy's face. Their bodies ran down his neck. That was all you could see in the photo, because the rest was covered by his police uniform. But Rad knew that the snakes intertwined on his spine and only separated at his buttocks, encircling them on the outside. He had known his friend long enough to have seen him naked. They could move, though they rarely did, as if they were reactive. When Len was emotional, they moved, often intensely, and when he was calm, they were at rest. Rad remembered how his friend told him how difficult it was to get to a tattoo artist specializing in a new method of applying pigment to the skin. The deadlines were long. Yes, he could have gotten a tattoo somewhere else. It would have been faster and cheaper, but it wouldn't have looked as real and spectacular. Len had a handsome but stern appearance. He looked more like a criminal than a police officer. Rad moved the photo, and Lot appeared. In contrast, he had a cheerful expression and was always smiling. He was prone to joking, but also cheeky. The type of person who quickly shakes off any problem, though it's unclear whether it's because he has such a strong psyche or because he doesn't give a damn. He was tall, like Rad. He had light hair, actually probably dark blonde. Rad didn't know much about hair. He assessed them as light brown. Also short, but longer than Rada's, and definitely longer than Lena's. Freckles were drawn on his cheeks and nose. He had larger lips and milk chocolate-colored eyes. Rad closed the photos and went to the kitchen. The kitchen was small because the apartment they rented with Rosa wasn't big. A small bathroom, a small kitchen connected to a modest living room, a bedroom, and that's it. He earned decent money as a police officer, but they lived in the center of Krakow, one of the largest cities in Poland, which needs no further explanation. Rad took some plain yogurt, a tomato, ham, and butter out of the fridge, along with a loaf of bread, and made himself breakfast. He ate while thinking about the case. He opened the police app again and tapped on the tab labeled Victim. He saw 2 photos, one taken before death, from the ID card, and the other, already uploaded to the system by the first group. The man's face was deformed. This did not prevent Rod from enjoying his breakfast. He was used to it. Rosa appeared in the doorway. She was short, with dark eyes. She leaned against the doorframe, wearing blue crocodile pajamas. She was Rod's age. She rubbed her forehead with her hands and smoothed her hair. She also rested her head against the doorframe, as if the vertical wood could be a comfortable mattress. "Already?" Rad was surprised. "Yes, already," she said. "I remembered that I wanted to place an order for the university." "Do you want a roll? I made too many for myself," he said. "Leave some for me," she said, and went to the bathroom. "What were you looking at?" she asked from the bathroom. Apparently, he was staring too intently at the hologram and the man's face as she stood in the doorway. She realized that he wasn't looking at trivial things on the internet. "A call from work." "A call? Don't you have to rush there?" she asked, seeing that he was eating his breakfast calmly. "It's the end of March. I thought you were on night duty, and when you get a call, you have to rush. I swap shifts with Len, remember? He's on priority duty. I'm on regular duty. I told you it's his sister's birthday next month, and he wanted to swap." "Oh, there was something. That's lucky," she laughed. "You could have slept in. Unless something worse comes up in a month," she added and laughed again. "So who are you with next month? With Lot, right? Because you switch every few weeks. 2 on priority, 1 on regular?" "Yeah," Rad agreed. After a moment, she returned with her favorite hairstyle, 2 braids ending with butterfly hair ties. The artificial butterflies fluttered their wings like real ones and lifted Rosa's braids into the air, almost as if someone had lifted them in the air to the height of her neck, except that the braids waved slightly as the butterflies, like real butterflies, flew sometimes a little higher, sometimes a little lower. They moved like real butterflies. They looked both natural and artificial at the same time. Something like a hybrid of real butterflies with the addition of plastic. The torso was flat, narrow, without antennae or legs, practically invisible, and some models did not have it at all. The wings themselves were glued to rubber bands. The girl was also wearing her favorite makeup. That is, her face was bare, but she had made colorful streaks on her right cheek. Yellow, blue, flesh-colored, and pink paint. She looked like an unfinished painting, as if someone had been painting her face on canvas and hadn't finished mixing the cheek. She sat down next to Rad and grabbed the sandwich left for her. She was also wearing a set. Her pupils were flashing, and you could see that she was looking at something. But until Rad entered her disk field, he couldn't see anything. The disk was the name given to the hologram displayed by the set because it was around her head. She laughed. Then she looked at him and asked, "What are you thinking about?" Rosa moved closer to him. "I can't see it yet," she asked in surprise. "But you have a narrow disk." "I've already set it up to work. It's 25 centimeters. Some police officers set theirs even smaller." Because she moved closer and her screen had a larger radius, he could see what she had turned on, although she couldn't yet see what he had on his. "And mine is 1/2 meter." "Great. Everyone can see what you have," he smiled. "I don't want to keep zooming in and out. It's more convenient this way. I have nothing to hide." She moved her chair closer to Rada. "But I have to protect my privacy. If someone enters your disk field and sees that you're watching..." He paused. "What are you watching?" he asked when he saw a video of 2 women dancing. "A new music video from Srebna," Rod grimaced. "What a disaster." Rosa laughed. "It's cool with me. If someone sees you watching the music video, it won't be a problem. But if they see my stuff, they'll have access to secret information," he finished his previous thought. "Fortunately, the 25-centimeter disc doesn't mean I can't move the image back, because sometimes it would be hard to watch things so close up." "What's that?" Rosa frowned when she finally saw what Rad had in the disc. "Why does he look like that?"